So in total, we're going to be creating 9 calculated fields that we're going to be using in this dashboard. And it's going to be a mix of using both the fields that we already have as well as the parameters that we created. And to make this a little bit easier, we're going to be using the formulas that are already present in the sample workbook. So if you'd like, you can follow me along. I'm just going to be taking the formulas from this workbook that you can find in the Tableau. It's this guy right here. So when you open that and you go to the commission model dashboard, you can unhide those sheets that are used in the dashboard. I can go to quota attainment, the first sheet, and then I can look through and see these calculated fields here in the data pane. And if you just click or right click and then click edit, you get to see the formulas that they got to use for their calculated fields. So I'm just going to be copying and pasting just for the sake of time for this video, and I would suggest that you do as well. And as I do so, I'm just going to be giving a quick overview of what exactly the calculated field is for in the dashboard. So let's get started with our first calculated field, which is going to be our achievement, our estimated achievement. So I'm going to do the create calculated field, and I'm going to name our first one achievements, and in parentheses will be estimated. So in context to this dashboard, all achievement or estimated achievement is just our sales. So I'm going to copy this and put that there. So, you know, you could have just typed in sales here, but obviously as they get more complicated, then, you know, copy and pasting will be more effective. And so this is just giving a new name to our sales to be put into the context of our dashboard. We don't want it to necessarily say sales when we're looking at, you know, projections. So let's click OK. And we're going to move on to our next calculated field. So bring down the drop down. This one's going to be called percentage of quota achieved. Okay, so going to get our formula and copy this and paste this over here. So this calculated field is looking at the average of our sales divided by our new quota, which was the parameter that we created. Really good example here of how, you know, the coding works in Tableau is actually color coordinates the fields. That way, you know, with no context what each field is representing. And so the blue text is highlighted as a function. So this is the average function. The orange text is representing a field in the data pane, right? Our sales here. And then if it's purple, it means that it's a parameter. So we have a function, a field, and a parameter in our formula. So it's taking the average of sales and dividing it by our new quota, whatever that new quota may be, right? So it's all dynamic. We'll click OK. And for our third calculated field, it's going to be called achieved quota. And this is actually going to be more of a dimension than a measure, because we want it to display a certain text based on if a criteria is met or not. So I'm going to get my formula, going to copy this and paste it. And so this is saying if the sum of our sales is greater than or equal to our new quota, then 100% plus. And then if it doesn't meet that criteria, then it's 75% to 100% and so on and so forth. Just giving us, you know, those benchmarks right away at an instant glance. So let's click OK. And this will come out blue, right? The others were green because they were measures, but this one is a dimension. So it's going to come out as a blue pill. Okay, for our fourth calculated field, this is going to be our base variable, base representing our base salary. And so we're going to hold our base salary constant. because everyone's going to be getting paid the same amount of base salary. The only thing that will differ will be their commission. So I'm going to grab this function, which is just base salary. So it's going to be the same across the board. Click OK. And we know it's a parameter as well. Just wanted to mention because it is purple. We'll click OK. For our next parameter, this is going to be our commission variable. Put that in parentheses. So I'm going to grab this formula, and the way that we calculate our commission is based on our commission rate that's set, and then we multiply that by the amount of sales they've made and then divide that by 100. So that's how we get our commission. So we'll click OK. All right, for the next one, it's going to be called OTE. This is going to be a variable as well. So OTE is representing our on-target earnings. And so this is giving us some insight on how our salespeople are performing and if they're on target with the sales that they should be coming in. So looking more specifically, it's our base salary plus the commission rate that's multiplied by our new quota divided by 100. So our base salary is going to be the same. Our commission rate is going to be different, but that's going to be multiplied by the new quota, which is going to be the same. And then we're dividing that by 100 to get the decimal. So let's click OK. And then for our next calculated field, we're actually going to be making a rank over 3. And so this is going to be putting our salespeople into certain tiers. That way we get an idea of who is performing similarly. And so we can put them into categories rather than just looking at them individually. So for this formula, it's going to be a little bit different than the others. We're going to be using our round and our index functions. And so this is the formula that actually helps break it down into tiers consisting of 3 people in each tier. So that's what this formula is doing. So I'll click OK. And we'll add another calculated field, which is going to be our sort by field. Just like that. I'll take my formula. Okay. And one thing you'll notice is that we have, our names, our quota descending, and those were things that we typed in when we created the sort by parameter. And so what you should notice by now is that by using these calculated fields and integrating the parameters inside the calculated fields, it's going to allow us to activate the parameters. That way, when we change a parameter, it'll actually change the data because the calculated field in the viz and the parameter as a filter will be linked, thus allowing us to have that interactivity with the data. So I'll click yes, and we'll move on to our final calculated field, which is called total compensation. And our total compensation should be the amount of base pay each salesperson gets and added by the amount of commission that they get. That's going to be what makes up their compensation. Just like any normal sales position. We'll click OK. Perfect. So now we have all the calculated fields that we're going to use to create this dashboard. So now we can get started with our first worksheet.